What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy 8bit79, and today in this video we're going to be going over how to build a character based on this comment from my guy Trey2297 here. He asked, can you make a video on how to build a character? I'm new and confused, so I got you in this video right here, bro, and anybody else that needs this information. So let's go ahead and get into it. So if you go to any character in the game and you click on the details page of that character, what you get is a bunch of stats, right? Physical attack, energy attack speed, crit rate, crit damage, ignore defense, ignore dodge. The list goes on, right? But basically all of your attack stats are on the left and all of your defense stats are on the right, with your debuff and cooldown stats being down there at the bottom. Basically, what you need to know about this page is this: what type of damage the character deals. In this case, for Sharon Rogers, it would be energy attack. And there are two ways that you know that it's energy attack. If you go into the character page, you see that she has energy attack there as the top stat. And if you go into any of her skills, you see right down there at the bottom, it says energy damage of energy attack. And it says that on every single one of her skills. Even in the original Thanos outfit, it can get a little confusing because originally with no outfit, Thanos dealt energy damage of physical attack on one skill and then physical damage of physical attack on another skill. But if you notice, the physical attack portion does not change. That means that he scales off of his physical damage. So very important to note. The other thing is the fact that some of these stats have yellow numbers and some of them are white. We're not really worried about the green numbers, but let's just focus on the white and yellow numbers. The yellow numbers basically means that that stat is either reached or exceeded the cap. And you know that if you click on this little box down here, it'll show you how much over the cap you are in the red numbers, right? I'm 1% over the reduced cooldown duration in the bottom right corner. Cap for cooldown duration is 50%. The cap for ignore defense is also 50%. The cap for critical rate is 75%. The cap for critical damage is 200%. Cap for attack speed is 130%. And then you have a bunch of other stats in the game that do not cap, such as physical attack, energy attack, HP, defense, both physical and energy. Now, as far as the fire, cold, lightning, poison, and mind damage, we're not really going to focus on that too tough yet because it only applies to very specific characters in the game. As a new player, the stats that you want to focus on are physical, energy attack, cooldown duration, and ignore defense. With ignore defense and cooldown duration being the most important, what ignore defense does is it allows you to negate a portion of the enemy's defenses, thereby doing more damage. And then with reduced cooldown duration, it actually cuts the cooldown of your skills by up to 50%. So in the case of Sharon Rogers, with the cooldown time down there at the bottom in green, you see that the cooldown time is 7 seconds. With a 50% cooldown duration, that means that she can cast that skill every 3.5 seconds. So by this point, you might be saying to yourself, 8-bit, that's all cool and all, but how do I get these stats on the character? Well, by and large, the most important things to focus on your characters are going to be number 1, cards, and then number 2, swords. So let's go ahead and tackle cards first. So if you go here under the game guide, under character growth, and I scroll down here to equip comment card, it states that comment cards are equipable on card slots. Equipping a comment card applies its stats to all characters, meaning all the characters in your roster, and a max of 5 cards can be equipped. Only 1 card type can be equipped at a time, meaning no duplicate cards. And then if I go here to upgrade cards, you basically crunch the same star level of cards in order to get the next star level. So it takes 6 1-star cards to make a 2-star, and so on and so forth, up to 6 stars. And every time you change the level of the card, You also change the stars as well as the card quality, as well as when you re-roll the card, you change the level of the stats in the card as well. Additionally, at the cost of cannibalizing cards and spending gold, you can use those to re-roll your cards and change the stats as well as the quality of the card. Now, for the purposes of this video, we're going to focus on this Armor Wars card, a card that you absolutely should not be building in this game, but something I just whipped up right quick, where it has movement speed, mine resist, and that's exactly why this is a bad card, because it has movement speed and mine resist in the fixed options. You don't want to build cards like this. You want to build cards that have good stats in the fixed options, i.e. all attack, HP, ignore defense, critical damage, critical rate, counting stats. Additionally, the fixed stats are going to offer the highest percentage of any of the stats offered in that particular card. Now, if you look at the bottom right portion of the card itself, it has that number right there. That refers to quality of the card, and it goes from 1 to 7, and the higher the number, the higher the stats reflected in the card, in the fixed option and as well as the bonus option. Now, with the fixed options, they don't change. So the movement speed and the mine resist, no matter how many times I re-roll this card, will always be there. For the bonus options, those change every time you re-roll a card. So you basically want to be focusing on cards that are going to give you those stats off the top. This is a really good example of that. Unbelievable Gwenpool #1. It gives you all attack increase and max HP at a level 7 of 11% each. And in the first slot, you can roll recovery rate, crit damage, dodge, and then the other two, the resist stats, you really don't want. You don't want any resist except maybe some fire resist on your cards, but I wouldn't even focus on that early on. Critical rate, cooldown duration, all defense, physical attack, or the all basic attack proc, which that's probably the best thing to roll in this slot. The way that the procs work on the cards, if you read the green text, it says 5% chance to activate when being hit. So you take an attack, it has a 5% chance to activate, and it has a 20% attack increase for physical attack, and it's up for 15 seconds is basically what that means. You can only have one type of proc per card set. So if I roll this thing for all attack, I cannot roll all attack on any other card. I can roll physical attack, I can roll energy attack, and then I would have all three, right? That's the way that works. Same thing with the HP proc. And those are the only 4 procs you should even worry about rolling on cards. All attack, energy attack, physical attack, or HP, right? And then moving on to the last one, you have ignore defense, energy defense, cold resist, energy attack, and poison resist. So properly rolled version of this would look something like critical damage in the first slot, maybe something like all attack in the second proc, or the all attack proc in the second slot, something like maybe attack speed or crowd control time, which could be useful later in the third slot. And then in the last slot, you want to roll something like energy attack, maybe some ignore defense. Another really good card to build early on, and one of the best that still gets recommended to this day, is the Loki Agent of Asgard #17. It has cooldown duration and all attack fixed options. You can also roll ignore defense, max HP, crit damage in the first slot, the physical attack proc on this thing, all defense on this thing, or possibly recovery rate in the third slot. And in the fourth option, you want to go with most likely energy attack, but if you rolled physical attack, I really wouldn't be mad. The Black Widow card is also another good option. It offers you some defense. It's a good option for newer accounts that have a problem staying alive. It's probably going to be a card that you're going to replace fairly quickly. The Marvel Zombies card is also good. It'll help keep you alive with the dodge in the first slot, and it has some pretty good options in there as well. The cooldown duration, but you really want to follow that similar formula of looking for energy attack, all attack, HP. The skill cooldown proc, I really wouldn't ever worry about rolling. And then like I said, the all attack in this slot. Now where you run into problems is when you have too much of a good thing in the same location, and then it forces you to choose. So you kind of want to stay away from cards like that. That option for ignore defense as a fixed stat would be the Groot number 5 card that offers ignore defense and critical damage as the fixed options. And then you can roll energy attack, critical rate, max HP in the first slot. Second slot you can roll cooldown duration. In the third slot you can roll probably all defense, more than likely would be the best option there. And then in the last slot you can roll all attack or physical attack and you'll be just fine. Another good option would be this Star-Lord card here. Star-Lord number 2 offers ignore defense and crit rate. And then in the first option you get some physical attack, some dodge, some HP. In the second option you get some cooldown duration, so that covers you on your ignore defense and your cooldown. And then in the third slot you can roll something like all defense, and then in the fourth slot you can roll something like all attack or energy attack. If it lands on crit damage, I really wouldn't be mad at it early on. You just want to make sure that because crit damage caps, that you're not going over that cap easily, and you'll have characters that will be able to exceed that easily and some that'll struggle to get there. Another really good option is going to be the Avengers 318 with Nebula on the cover that has max HP and ignore defense as the fixed options. For the third slot you have physical attack, all attack as an option. Next slot you have skill cooldown duration. In the next slot you have critical damage is going to be the best thing in there. If you're over the cap on critical damage you can opt for all defense. And in the last slot you have energy attack. So really good card right there, along with the Loki card. Some of the best free-to-play options in the game. This Ant-Man number 1 card is also pretty good with the crit damage and HP as the fixed options. For free-to-play you also have the ignore defense in there, as well as the cooldown duration and the physical proc with the energy attack. So kind of too much of a good thing on the same option for the fourth there. For the next one you can roll all defense, and then for the last one you can roll physical attack or preferably all attack, but then you also have the crit rate down there as well. Now most of those cards you can get right here from the crafting shop. If you go over here to the upgrade items tab and then go down here to comic cards, if you click on this little box here in the top right corner under the event tab, you'll see a bunch of these comic cards right here. Of course the Armor Wars card that we showed you at the beginning of the video, the Marvel Zombies card is here, as well as the Lynn variant, which is another really decent card, as well as the Black Widow card. The Loki Agent of Asgard card is here as well. So a lot of these cards are here. The Star-Lord card is in here, as well as the Groot and Nebula cards as well. So a lot of good options in here. And then of course the Ant-Man card is down there at the bottom. Now of course the materials that you need that's most important to craft cards, the Phoenix feathers and the Mcron crystals here. If you're running short on them, another really good option to be able to get your cards up is going to be right here in Dimension Missions. You see the Groot card is right there available today. This thing changes every single day. So you got the Star-Lord card in there, you have the X-Force card in there, Uncanny X-Men, the Loki Agent of Asgard card is there, there's the Marvel Zombies, there's the Nebula card, there's the Groot card again. So you got some options in there as well. And then by running the Dimension Missions, you get these tokens right here in the top right hand corner, and you can exchange those for comic card chests as well. And if you go in here and check out your chances, you have the 1872 number 1 basic, you have the Armor Wars number 1, Captain America Carol Corps, the Marvel Zombies number 2, 2099 basic, the Black Widow 20, Loki Agent of Asgard number 17. So you got quite a few cards in here. Avengers number 318, that's the Nebula card. You also have the Groot card as well. You have Gwenpool number 3, that's the basic. You also have Ant-Man number 1, and you also have the What If magic cards in here as well. Now we're not going to cover premium cards in this video, other than just to say, after you get through with the free-to-play version of the cards, then eventually you're going to start to want to grab premium cards. This is why it's important that you guys, even from the start, log in and play Giant Boss Raid every day. It's going to give you these 10 premium comic card tokens over a 30-day period. That's 300 tokens. That is 1/2 of a premium card. The other thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is completing the future pass. Every single time this pops up, for the basic free-to-play version, you get 300 tokens. That's the other half of your free premium card. With those tokens, every time you get 600 of them, you can come right in here to the store and you can purchase a free premium card. As you can see, I have 163 tokens right now, so I'm not able to pull them. You can pull any one of these premium cards around every 45 days or so. We're not going to go over which ones are the best, which ones are the worst, this sort of thing, because it is a random chest. If you click on here, it'll tell you your chances for pulling each card. If you click up here at the top, it'll tell you exactly which cards are all in here. So we'll do another video where we go over the premium cards. Let's go ahead and get into the swords. So real quickly, just to wrap up the video, swords are the other effect that affects every single character in your roster. Unlike CTPs, unlike ISO sets, unlike type enhancements, and all of these other things, cards and swords affect your entire roster. So I wanted to make sure that I got that covered first. Now we do know that there is going to be a change coming soon to the way that Pierce affects all of this. So that's why I kind of want to do premium cards in a separate video where we're talking about Pierce more specifically. For this, I kind of wanted to just focus on the free-to-play aspects, right? Swords you get from fighting and winning in Otherworld battle, or just fighting in Otherworld battle. You will get these swords of the unknown. You can then in turn enchant these swords of the unknown. You'll get a sword. Now that was me crafting one completely up to 6. If I were to just craft one, because you can craft these things one rune at a time, or you can craft multiple swords at a time, right? Then I got the 1 blue star. The object is to try and match all of the colors, right? And when you do, you will be able to enchant the sword. So we'll come down here and we'll enchant this thing. We'll go ahead and awaken the sword. And when we awaken it, it's going to turn green, because most of the runes down there at the bottom are green. So we got a Skybreaker sword, 3-star. Eventually are working toward are getting all the different stats: strength, intelligence, judgment, psionics, stamina, dexterity, which is represented by each one of these swords. You have the intelligence for the warlock sword, you have the dexterity for the soul sword, you have the strength for the scarab sword, so on and so forth. So if you read right up here, it basically says element mastery is the sum of all elements. Mastery effects apply to all characters based on the mastery value. That's what they're talking about when you get all of the swords maxed out at level 6 with 1 in each color. Well, 6 times 6 is 36. That gives you an additional 50% all attack, right? That's huge. That there are leaderships that aren't that high in the game. And then you have the element level. When you equip the sword, your element level increases by the number of element levels the sword has. It can be enchanted up to 6, and each element effect are applied to all characters based on their element level. If I come down here and I view all card effects, this is what all of that's offering me. 25% all attack increase, 6% physical attack increase, 5% energy damage reduction. You see the arrow going down. Additional pierce damage decrease, 7%. We'll talk about Pierce in another video because that's a crafted stat. And then you have energy attack plus 15% and instinct damage, which really applies mostly to tier 4 characters, plus 2,000. You also have these other stats down here that aren't that much but do make a little bit of difference. Those are the basic stats that you need and where you want to get them. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about before we get out of here is also make sure you're running your dimension rifts every day. You can run these things 2, I think 3 times a day. So you want to make sure that you're coming in here and getting this, and it's not necessarily for the artifacts, although they will become handy later on. So you still want to make sure you're running it then. But in here, you're also going to get the card crafting cubes. That's going to come in handy for you later when you start to build your premium card set. So make sure y'all drop a thumbs up down there, hit the sub notification bell so you can stay up on all of our videos. Make sure you drop a comment down below. Links to the Discord, Twitter, and all of our social media is in the description below. And we will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.